If you've ever touched a mini before the primer's dried and the fingerprints you left made you cry a little bit, go ahead and hit that like button. Gentlemen, gentilemen, today we're going to take the most boring marines you can get, the Primaris INTERCESSORS, and we're going to make them into something a little more unique, to make them stand out a bit when you compare them to the intercessors of other Space Marine armies. Now, I dip into the bits box quite a bit for this conversion. You'll see I rely quite heavily on the Mark 6 Marines and a little bit on the Mark 3 Marines for this conversion as well. Aside from that, other bits I use are the body of an Assault Intercessor, the backpack of a Desolation Marine, a Vanguard Veteran Thunderhammer, a Heavy Bolter backpack, an Astra Militarum grenade launcher, this really cool Mark 6 upgraded head. I wasn't too sure if I wanted to actually use this helmet, considering I only have one, and it's like literally my favorite helmet, but you know, it's my first video, so you know, go hard or go home. And that brings us to the sprue. Now if you have a Space Marine army, or more specifically a Primaris Space Marine army, you've probably been here before, so we'll start basic. Just clip out the bodies you liked most. Once that step is complete, you can clean these dirty boys up and just glue them together as per normal. You need to make sure the leg falls off while you're gluing it, otherwise this conversion just won't work. Equally important is the test spin you take them on after you dried the glue. With all our little men together, we can start the next stage of this conversion. And that step is to go through the horrible, terrible process of removing the Aquila on their chest. I found it easiest to hold the little dude upside down and start slicing from his tum-tum to his collar. After I got most of the Aquila off, I grabbed a dull blade that was detached from the handle because I felt like that gave me a bit better control, and I used that to scrape off any excess. Then I got this pretty funky idea. I thought, what if I made a little cog pattern on his gorget? So I started by making a few indents and then pushing down until I got the depth I was looking for. I then cut from the middle of the indents to the corner, and that made little triangles that just made it a little bit easier to remove the plastic I didn't want. Then using that dull knife again, scrape away until you get the smoothness that you want. Now I've never done that before and I wasn't too sure how it was going to come out, but I'm pretty happy with this, and I think you should be too. Now it's time for the sergeant, the centerpiece to every Space Marine squad. We'll begin by clipping out the arms we want to attach. So I end up choosing the underslung bolt rifle because I think it will go well with his relaxed Thunderhammer pose I end up doing. Now you want to go ahead and slice off the bolt pistol. Don't use clippers for this step because it will make too messy of a cut, and with the knife you can save both the arm and the bolt pistol. For the left arm, there's quite a few options. I went with the communications one because I think that looked neat. Don't forget to clean it after you clip it. Now that all the bits we need are prepped, we can go ahead and start gluing on the backpack. And then remember you forgot to trim off the Black Templar symbol on that helmet. So once you finish that and all the pieces are actually prepared, you can go ahead and glue on the helmet. After I glue on his left arm, I jam in a cable from the Aggressors Flamestorm gauntlet behind the backpack. I find that cable very useful if you want to have accessories detached from the Space Marine. Next I glue on the bolt rifle magazine, and then I begin work on the right arm. While the arms are still drying, I attach the Mark 3 shoulder pads. Now before we attach the Thunderhammer, it's going to have to be lengthened a little bit. To do that, we need to slice the Thunderhammer in half. And now we need to clean up the edges to ensure that they are flat. I was gonna use a paper clip, but I found that to be a bit too thin, so I went ahead and clipped a bit of wire from an umbrella. Hopefully no one notices. For the wire to sit securely, you're going to have to drill holes into each side of the Thunderhammer. And then using super glue, I put this weapon back together. Completely dried, the hammer is now ready to be attached. And at this step you can pivot the hand however you like to find the angle that you think looks best. While that's drying, I'm going to start on his armored servo skull. So for this it's simple. I'm going to use a Skitarii head and a Mark III all-spec scanner. The glue for the Skitarii head needs to dry before I can attach the all-spec scanner, so while I wait, I add some ammo and pistols also from the beloved Mark III kit. And with the glue dried for that Skitarii head, we can now attach the Auspex scanner. So I thought the bad audio and the iPhone camera quality were bad enough for my first video, but it turns out I've actually managed to corrupt the remainder of the footage, aside from what I'm about to show you. So here you can see me making room for the chainsaw bayonet, and just like the regular bayonets, they actually fit on perfectly. I nearly had a proper aneurysm trying to film this on my phone, so right after I finished the assembly I went out and bought a 4K camera, so hopefully the rest of the video is a bit more pleasing for your eyeballs. So I obviously need to learn a bit more about how autofocus works, but in the meantime I'm going to show you the results of this conversion and what I've learned along the way. So one thing I've learned is that my lack of painting skills are way more obvious in 4K resolution. But I'm kind of hoping that'll improve as the channel progresses, so let's not focus on that right now. Another thing I've learned is that drilling barrels can be a little bit tricky, but if you do it right, which I did for some of them, it's quite worth the time doing, and I don't think I did too bad for a first timer, you tell me. And one more thing I really need to work on is mold lines. I thought I did a pretty good job getting rid of them, but some of them are very obvious underneath the paint job. Overall, I can say I'm pretty happy with this conversion, being the first squad for my new custom chapter, and the very first video for my new YouTube channel. I mean, obviously I have a lot to learn when it comes to making YouTube videos, but I hope I taught you something, even though I lost most of the footage, and I hope you enjoyed. My next video will be on Desolation Marines, and I'm really hoping that is a much better video than this one, so stick around and find out.